Before humans existed, something in the forest was already searching for alcohol. Scientists believe our fascination with alcohol began millions of years before civilization. Long before bread, before cities, nature may have brewed the very first drink. That ancient craving would eventually help shape human history. It inspired gatherings, experiments, and eventually entire civilizations. The story you're about to hear may completely change what you think started civilization. This surprising idea is known as the drunk monkey hypothesis. Millions of years ago, ripe fruit didn't stay fresh forever. As natural yeast worked, those fruits slowly began to ferment. The smell became sweeter and easier to find. For hungry primates, that scent often meant extra calories. Finding fermented fruit wasn't just luck, it became an evolutionary advantage. The sweetest fruit wasn't always hanging on the tree. Overripe fruit was softer, easier to chew, and packed with natural sugars. That made every successful discovery an easy source of valuable energy. Soon, experienced primates learned exactly where to look. They remembered which trees dropped fruit and when it was ready. Without realizing it, they were training one of evolution's most important habits. Eventually, our ancestors inherited that same attraction. Early humans still wandered from place to place, following whatever nature offered. When they found fallen fruit, curiosity often became a meal. Sometimes the fruit tasted different. Sometimes it smelled unusual. But every discovery taught people a little more about the hidden chemistry of nature. Then, one small accident changed everything. Crushed fruit sat untouched for days beneath the open sky. Wild yeast quietly transformed the sweet juice into something entirely new. When the group returned, they noticed the mixture looked different. It smelled stronger, sweeter, and strangely inviting. Without realizing it, they had just created one of humanity's oldest discoveries. Soon, people realized this wasn't just an accident. Instead of waiting for fruit to fall, they began preparing it themselves. For the first time, nature's process was being copied by human hands. The mixture was left untouched, exactly as before. Days later, the same bubbles appeared again. That simple observation became humanity's very first brewing method. Then came an even bigger discovery. Wild grains were everywhere, growing naturally long before farming existed. People experimented by mixing crushed grain with fruit and water. Nobody understood the science, but they understood the results. Long before farms, humans were already learning how to brew. Then archaeology revealed something extraordinary. Inside a cave in present-day Israel, researchers uncovered remarkable stone tools. These weren't ordinary grinding stones. Microscopic traces of fermented grain still remained. The evidence suggested people brewed a primitive beer nearly 13,000 years ago. That was thousands of years before the world's first farms appeared. Another ancient site raised an even bigger question. More than 11,000 years ago, people gathered here long before permanent villages existed. Building monuments like these required enormous cooperation. Large gatherings needed food. And perhaps, they also prepared something special to drink. Some archaeologists believe celebrations like these may have encouraged brewing on a much larger scale. What if beer came before bread? For generations, historians believed farming began simply to produce more food. But another theory suggests people wanted something else as well. If communities wanted reliable brewing, they needed grain they could count on every year. This became the famous beer before bread hypothesis, a scientific idea still debated today. Whether the theory is correct or not, one thing is certain. People slowly stopped, depending only on what nature provided. For the first time, they began growing grain intentionally. Reliable harvests meant reliable gatherings. Reliable harvests also made larger communities possible. From this point forward, human history would never be the same. Thousands of years later, beer had become part of everyday life. Beer was no longer just an experiment. It had become one of civilization's essential foods. Workers, farmers, and builders all received beer as part of their daily rations. It was nutritious, widely available, and often safer than untreated river water. What began as forgotten fruit beneath a tree had become part of an entire civilization. Beer was no longer just a drink. It became a force that connected civilizations. It traveled along trade routes, carrying ideas as well as ingredients. Every community adapted the recipe using its own grains, traditions, and local resources. It appeared at harvest festivals, community gatherings, and important ceremonies that strengthened social bonds. That ancient discovery never truly disappeared. The recipe changed, the ingredients changed, But the human instinct to gather together remained remarkably familiar. Sharing food, sharing stories, and celebrating important moments. Those traditions may be one of humanity's oldest inheritances. What if civilization wasn't shaped by necessity alone, but also by curiosity? No archaeologist can say with complete certainty exactly why farming began. The evidence continues to inspire new questions and healthy scientific debate. But one discovery is impossible to ignore. From a few forgotten fruits on a forest floor grew ideas that helped transform human society. Sometimes history changes not because someone planned it, but because someone paid attention. The next time you hear the story of civilization, remember where this journey may have begun. A fallen piece of fruit, a curious mind, and thousands of years of human innovation. Whether beer came before bread remains an open question, but humanity's curiosity has always driven discovery. History is full of surprising connections. Sometimes the smallest discoveries leave the biggest mark on the future. A forgotten fruit on a forest floor may have inspired traditions, communities, and ideas that echoed across thousands of years. If you enjoyed exploring the hidden origins of human history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more fascinating documentaries, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey into the ancient world. Until next time, stay curious.